أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Let us please send our condolences to the Imam of our time, Ajjallah Ta'ala Farajahu Sharif, for the tragic events of Karbala. On this night, I hope we all try to reflect on the events of the night and the sacrifices of the shuhada which they made on these days. May we all find the courage and strength to follow them as well, inshallah. Today, my topic will be about this wish that we make, to have the courage and strength to follow them. But how do we start to reach such a level? Starting in itself is quite difficult, so I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help us on this journey. A way to start being like the followers of the Imam is in fact to follow their example. This is one way for us not only to honor their memory, but also become closer to them and eventually become like them. One reason the Imam himself fought and died in Karbala was so that he and his progeny would be remembered till this day by the Shia. So it stands to reason that we can learn things from the sacrifice, other than the fact that the Ahlul Bayt are the ones that we have to follow, and the ones that had the right to the Khilafah, and the ones that we have to follow to reach Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So let's start by talking about how we can reach them and then reach a status like them. But before we start talking about that, let's look at the shuhada themselves. The shuhada came from different backgrounds, contexts. Some were old, some were young. Some were servants, others were actually enemy who just turned good in the last minute, like Hur. Why such different backgrounds and contexts? And so we can see that today, we are all from different contexts and backgrounds, yet we can relate to at least one of them because they had such diversity. And we can see that there's some divine power in this, so that even in future, everyone can relate to them, inshallah. They primarily fought and died for Islam. But that does not mean that we have to go into physical conflicts just to be like them, because that's not the only way we can stand up for Islam. We can also stand up for Islam right here in Australia. We can strive to strengthen Islam in our communities, and that is our goal. But is that all they did? Did they only stand against tyranny? And is the only lesson we can learn from the shuhada that we remember every year as the Shia of Ali, just that they fought and died for against tyranny? Let's take an example so that we can relate to these shuhada a bit more. Habib bin Mudahir was one of the shuhada in Karbala. I won't go into the details about his story, but he was a companion of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And at the time of the battle, he was really old. But that did not stop him. He did not use his age as an excuse for not doing his wajib towards the Imam. In the current world of today, we are bombarded with constant pressures to be busy with this rapid world of technology. And we get complacent with this fact, and we ignore some of our wajibs to our souls and to our nafs. We start off by saying that we're too young, not mukallaf yet. Then we have VCE and university. Then we get kids, and then we're just too old. And I tell myself before I tell any one of you here, because I've used VCE as an excuse over and over, and I'm still in year 11, not even year 12. Yet Habib shows us that no matter what, we should not let that stop us from doing our wajibs and mustahab actions of our day-to-day lives. Because if we think about it, think about the story. All of the shuhada were given a choice not to fight with the Imam, but they chose to fight with him. So it wasn't his wajib per se, but a mustahab action or recommended action, and he did it himself. And so we can't say that we are doing our wajibat and that is enough. Another shaheed we can learn from is Hur. He displayed that no matter how far we go off the straight path, with the right iman, we can return to the straight path. It's easy to see luxury in haram or in the distractions of this world. But that is the point of our struggle on this earth, to be able to overcome these and ascend as human beings. So we can actually see the true path, and it will have meaning to be brought to this world. Hur had many such obstructions in his life. He was immersed to them, to the point that he was about to support the army and lead the army against the Imam. But he opted to leave all of that and died as a supporter of the Imam. In Australia today, haram lurks at every corner. Yet we shouldn't be running away from it, nor accepting it. We should be like Hur, take his example, and see the light in the darkness, and join those who are the people that are Islamically correct in Australia, and support them, like these majalis. Hence we can see that we can relate to the Shuhada and Imam Hussein alayhi salam as well, in more than just the will to fight for Islam, which I'm not saying is unimportant, but rather is not the only thing we can learn from them. Us remembering them in these ways also gives certainty to the fact that what they died for was worth it. Their sacrifice achieved its goal, that they'd be etched in the memories of the Shia forever as a source of strength and guidance for us all. Now to go off on a little tangent and talk about some psychology. There's a technique that we learn at school to increase our ability to remember and memorize definitions and things like that. And it's to correlate the thing that we want to learn to an image. For example, if we want to memorize that 36 times 48 is 1,728, we can try correlating it to a flower, for example. And so whenever we visualize the flower, we see the answer that we want to remember. Many of us have probably heard about the strategy in school, but this isn't some sort of scientific principle, but a tool Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us, the ability to remember things by linking them to other things, our imagination. Whenever we think of our imagination these days, we always think of it as a negative thing. But why would Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us a tool if there was no benefit to it? We can use this tool Islamically. For example, to see the beauty of nature and then see Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in that and His magnificence. And that's actually a form of ibadah. It's called dhikr. And we all have to try achieving dhikr in our daily lives in everything we do. Or if we hear the 99 names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we can link them to the attributes and so remember our Creator. This is the real power of memory. So how about we try applying this to the earlier scenarios, where we remember Habib whenever we want to procrastinate, and so we don't procrastinate from our wajib and mustahab actions. Or if we're giving up on ourselves in this Western society where haram is everywhere, we see the light, like Hur did. By doing this, we're remembering the shuhada in our daily lives. And I hope we all see the benefits to this technique, as it allows us to start building better lifestyles. The reality is, would we not all feel much better if we did something like one of the shuhada, rather than just like ourselves? It gives us this sense of spirituality and connection to our Imam, alayhi salam. Why not start now? We are in Muharram, remembering these people, so why not take it a step further? Because by remembering them in our daily lives, we're ticking another box that makes us a mu'min, and that is dhikr. Because by remembering the servants of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, how can we not see Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's hand in everything? This remembrance can facilitate our transition to the point that we see Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in everywhere and everything we do. And that is the level we all want to reach, inshallah. Inshallah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will grant us this outlook of remembrance. Inshallah, He will open the gates of opportunity to all of us followers of Ahlul Bayt to reach close to Him, inshallah. Walhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen wa salatu wassalamu ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ahli tayyibin at-tahirin.